I think I'm saying that we struggle all our lives to answer it. But it's the struggle that is important. That's what helps us to define our place in the universe.
This is Beverly, Dr. Beverly, Dr. Beverly Crusher.
Look where we are. Here, all of us, in this moment. So let's do what we spent our entire lives learning to be great at.
And this is Crusher Convo. Hey guys, and welcome to Crusher Convo, where I'm crushing the conversation one episode at a time. And I am here to give you my review of Season 3, Episode 6, The Sehlat Who Ate Its Tail from Strange New Worlds. Now remember, if you have not seen this episode, please turn back now because there will be spoilers.
Spoilers.
I gotta admit, this is probably my favorite out of the entire season so far, so I got a lot to say and I have a lot of clips, so let's get to it.
Because some things you need to see for yourself to truly understand.
Captain, an unknown force just impacted Helicon Gamma's surface. Report. There's a seismic disturbance in the planet's crust.
Red alert.
Spiking.
Helm, take evasive action.
All hands, brace for...
So that intro was really cool. It started off with Kirk and his officer's log. And, you know, it's showing how he really wants to get into the action and he doesn't like all the boring, just going around and, checking things out. When he's like, we could use a probe. We should be going down and investigate. And of course, his Vulcan captain is a little bit more logical and is like, no, let's stay up here and see what happens. And sure enough, good thing she did that because all of a sudden the planet explodes and you're like, what the hell is going on? That kind of intro really grabbed me and I was like, all right, I'm in for this. I want to know what's going to happen and what the hell is going on.
Alvarez, I need you on tactical. Prepare all weapons.
Aye, Commander.
We have visual on Enterprise. They are engaging.
Whatever we've got, fire at that thing.
That is illogical. Enterprise's weapons were clearly ineffective. Our targeting systems are down. Firing would serve little purpose and risk damaging Enterprise.
But we have to do something. We can't just sit here.
At present, I'm afraid that is all we can do.
I wanted to highlight this scene just because you're not sure what is happening. You don't know what happened to the planet. And then all of a sudden you see this monstrosity of a ship, I guess what it is. And it takes the Enterprise, it like eats it. I'm thinking doomsday. I'm thinking, is this some kind of, I thought it was a Pakled situation later on, like were the Pakleds like really evil or something? I mean, it just was insane about what happened here. And so I was all like, okay, now what?
What about weaknesses?
Fundamental math, its size. It would be hard to generate a stable warp field at that scale, wouldn't it?
Well, odds are it's slow, but
Then we can catch it.
Regulations would have us tug tail and run back to Federation space. By the time we reach a subspace relay and get reinforcements, Enterprise will have been ripped to scraps. We all have people on. My brother is on that ship.
As the ranking officer, we will follow your orders. I merely wish to provide you with all relevant information.
those are the signatures from the picked-apart alien ships we saw in Nessie's Cub. Enhance that bit, would you?
One of the vessels is a D7 class Klingon cruiser.
Could any of them have survived?
Highly unlikely. The whole plating would be disassembled, venting all breathable air.
Even the Klingons couldn't fight their way out.
So the one thing I noticed about this scene was that as they're trying to figure out what to do about the Enterprise, they're trying to figure out what to do about the Farragut, they're trying to figure out what to do with this monstrous ship that, you know, took the Enterprise and destroyed the planet, is that this is the OG crew. This was intentional to have Chapel and Spock and Uhura and Scotty with Kirk. I thought that was very clever because at first I was all like, why did La'an leave to go back to the Enterprise just to return a chip of information? I thought they could just do that through subspace. Now I know they were having communication issues, but I was like, oh, that's a little weird for her to leave. And then I realized what they were doing. I thought that was clever. I really enjoyed that. This is kind of their first time of trying to get to know each other. And of course, we've seen some clips so far of, Kirk on the Enterprise from before and them getting to know each other. But this was them as a crew needing to figure out what to do in this situation. And of course, as a viewer, I'm like, what the hell is going on? And that was intriguing to me because I wanted to see more, right? So again, at this point, we still don't know what's happening. We still don't know what's going on with the Enterprise. Now, we do see that the Enterprise is okay, and it's all chalked up, like entangled in wires and stuff like that. And you're like, what the hell is happening? And what I love, and this is, so many people found this, and I don't even know who found it first, but I saw on social media today, that's the TARDIS right there on the Enterprise, just hiding off in the corner. And if anyone remembers back in the series 1 with the 15th Doctor, they were talking about Star Trek. And I was like, hey, a crossover. And then we happened to have, I think it was Russell T. Davies and it was Alex Kurtzman at the Comic-Con. And they were talking. And look at that, a little Easter egg. So I absolutely love that as a Whovian. I absolutely love that as a Trek fan. That was an amazing little Easter egg. And I'm all like, I wonder what the Doctor did here to help them out. I'm just saying.
Our quarters are exactly what I expected.
Okay, there you are. Not you. You were once bouncy and shiver, but when the novelty wore off, you got a little creepy.
How is any of this junk going to help us fly out of here?
Oh my goodness. I have piloted many a starship with this. Granted, they were 8-bit, but it was a good time on a Friday night. Ah, found it. Take.
This is a personal massager.
Oh, this was once a state-of-the-art communicator. You had to plug it into the wall, but if people annoyed you, you put them on hold. I think there are more.
So the signals are grounded. Transmitted cable to cable.
See that?
Which will insulate them from being jammed.
We're going to have the crew strip the ship for copper cables, and we're going to wire the Enterprise.
As they walk in, and it's like a monstrosity of junk of like, oh my gosh, Peleus quarters. And M'Benga took the words right out of my mouth. It looks exactly like you would expect it to be. When she starts digging in that trunk of the 80s, I'm assuming the 80s, maybe the 70s, but mostly the 80s. And I think she pulled out an Atari. I think that's what it was. Yes, that crazy little cat clock that everyone had back then. But I was like, this is why I miss some of this technology, because hardwire is a little bit better than, Wi-Fi and Bluetooth because of connection issues, right? So this was really cool to kind of showcase that. And I was all like, man, I missed this, simpler times in my head. So I was very, very happy about this part, and I thought it was funny, and M'Benga and Ortegas were funny as well with her, and just kind of be like, oh yeah, her kind of craziness has a point, and this is going to work. So I loved this scene, and I love them doing things old school, and it made sense. I remember seeing this in the trailer, and I was like, what the heck are they doing to be, using telephones? Now I get it, and I love that how they intertwined that into the story.
Captain did it. The umbilical's detached. Port and starboard thrusters?
50%.
Ease off starboard thrusters.
Whoa, not that easy. Give me 30%.
50%. Wait. 50, 80.
Cut starboard thrusters.
Hate to backseat drive, but you're hitting the wall.
Full port thrusters.
Thruster controls aren't responding.
That's real bad.
Wait, I have an idea.
I'm all ears. Commander? Commander.
So here's Ortegas with a classic phone. I think everyone had one. My mom had one. It was like more of white and gold. But anyways, and she's telling Mbenga and Una, you know, doing the old school controller of like 10% back, forth, this and that, like they're playing a video game. But when Una was like, oh, I have an idea to push the Enterprise out, she decompresses the bay. At first I was like, what was she doing? And then I was like, oh, she's decompressing it to push it out. And it reminded me of cause and effect, because that was what Riker wanted to do. And then Data was all like, oh, no, let's use the tractor beam. And that didn't work. And so it was decompressing to push them out. And I was all like, oh, Easter egg. I just saw cause and effect right here. So I loved that they mentioned that. But Una, fast thinking, totally cool and kick ass. I was super stoked about that moment. And then, of course, they were able to get out, and Ortegas was like, all right, 10% thrusters, let's go.
In the mid-21st century, before first contact with the Vulcans, a group of scientists believed that Earth's environmental crisis was too severe to recover from. So they built a ship. They hoped it would carry humanity to civilizations in other worlds.
But it failed.
The ship disappeared. The entire crew, their families, gone. Never heard from again.
I remember when it launched. We hadn't yet invented warp drive. It barely put out the fires of the Third World War. One of the few nations left standing sifted through the ashes of their space program, scoured the world for a crew, you might say. They were the best of us, the most optimistic, searching for a way, carry on the flame of life.
All those people, 7,000 souls.
The descendants of the original inhabitants.
So what went wrong? How did they go from that to whatever it is they became?
It's incredibly sad because, Kirk being in the chair for the first time, and he had to make these tough calls. And it was one of those things where he had to just I just killed 7,000 humans. And it was kind of an eye-opening experience because he didn't understand why they became the way that they did. And, it seemed like these people were out to be the best of humanity, as Pelia said. But something happened. And the one thing that I didn't like about this episode is I kind of wish I knew why. Why were they just trying to survive and they just didn't realize they attacked a human ship? What did they go through these last 200 years? It was a little confusing in that aspect of just, okay, I understand why they left after World War III, just before the warp drive situation and meeting the Vulcans, but why were they doing this? What made them become who they were? Because they were seen as monsters, not the humans that was the best of humanity, not the descendants that they came from. So I didn't like having more questions than answers at that point. I think it was a good, and of course, the team also didn't have the answers because Kirk even asked, what happened? And they all died, and it was by his hand, and he was going to have to live with that. And there was something that Pike said to him, and I loved this quote, but he said, "The big decisions seem so simple when someone else has to live with the consequences. But the choices you make in that chair, they are yours to make. And what comes after that is yours to live with. This was the start of Kirk having to learn about how big it is to be in that chair. You know, to him, he was like, I want action. I want to do this. And he didn't like how his captain was a little too safe. Now I think he was kind of understanding why she's safe, because shit happens, right? Especially in space. Shit happens. And he even had said earlier in the episode, he's like, thank God she didn't listen to me, because we all would have died. I would have been down on that planet doing an away team, and we would have instantly perished. And that was something he had to grasp with. And of course, he didn't die, and his crew and the Enterprise crew was saved. I mean, I know there was some casualties, but he had to live with the fact that he just killed 7,000 people. But like Pike said, you made the right call. They were attacking us. They were trying to kill us. We don't know why. And you had to do what you had to do. And I think that was an important lesson of why we get Kirk later on, of the type of Kirk that we got. And so I really enjoyed this episode. And like I said, little tidbit of just like, kind of wished I would have known why with these characters or these humans that was attacking them, and they were attacking other aliens and stuff like that. I guess needing resources, but they became savages, and it just was like questioning what happened to these people to make them who they were. Again, I really enjoyed this episode. I really enjoyed the difference between, you know, what was happening on the Farragut, where it had Kirk and Spock and Uhura and Chapel and Scotty. And then, of course, seeing the other characters, La'an and Pike and Una and M'Benga and, of course, Ortegas. And so it was a nice little separation there. And of course, Palia having that bright idea with the telephones and stuff. Great. I think everyone played a role in this. And it was just an action-packed adventure. And I really thought this was great. This isn't a Strange New Worlds type episode in the sense like, yes, they didn't go to a Strange New Worlds and meet aliens, but they did meet a strange entity of a massive ship who is the destroyer of worlds kind of situation. And it turned out that was them. And it was kind of a highlight of like, what can we become, you know, because of the circumstances that we're in? Can we become evil? Can we always stay good? Can something really trigger us to do bad things? And I think it made you think, right? And it made these characters think. So that's what I loved about the episode. Again, comment below and tell me what you thought of this episode. Please like this video, and if you haven't already yet, please subscribe. I cannot wait for next week's, and of course, I will be coming back with regular episodes in September with a special episode called Battle-Hardened Mothers, where it is going to be celebrating the 30th anniversary of Xena, and I'm going to be talking about Xena and Beverly Crusher and how similar they are in their characters, and I will be having special guest Marcy from Idle Ride Podcast. She was on my season finale last year, and we had loads of fun talking about Lower Decks. And yeah, I am super, super stoked to be talking with her. And of course, check out my video about STLV. I have a lot to say. I have a lot of things to show you. And as always, guys, live long and prosper.
Crusher out.